Welcome to the personal training diary of Andy Bolton, the strongest powerlifter in history.
Hi, I'm Andy Bolton, holder of 6 World Powerlifting titles and current Arnold Classic champion. I'm the official world record holder in the squat, deadlift and total. This is a magical 1,003 pounds. On November the 4th, 2006 in Lake George, Andy Bolton and me become the first man ever to pull this weight off the ground. Making the first man ever 1,003 pounds. History in the making. Welcome to the pain. I'm here at Genesis Gym London with the owner, my friend and training partner, Dave Bulldog Beatty, the strongest master lifter in the world.
Fire up, come on, fire up. Come on, go. Let's go.
I'd like to say, you look at this video and you'll think, well, why is he not deadlifting 900 pound in the video? Why is he not going out and squatting 1,100 pound in the video? We want to see that done. See that done in competition. Why put it in the gym? Why leave it in the gym? That's what 90% of people do. It stays in the gym. But Andy's lifts stay in the record books for life.
Yes.
Piece of cake.
The purpose of this DVD is to give you some insight into the training practices, lifestyle and genetic makeup of the strongest athlete on the face of the planet. View it, take its contents on board and put it into practice. If your goal is to fulfill your ultimate strength potential, then let's get started.
Faster, come on, work on it. Drive. And again, come on.
The phase that launched 1,000 pounds.
In sport, there are always key milestones, things like the 4-minute mile that has a real resonance to it, because it is the first person to run a mile in under 4 minutes, the first 7-foot high jump, the first 28-foot long jump. These things are real milestones, and 1,000 pounds deadlift is an incredible feat, and it does rank alongside it. One of the problems is, I was a pole vaulter, everybody's run, very few people have pole vaulted. Very few people have done a deadlift and can really appreciate the significance of what it is to have lifted 1,000 pounds. But it is an incredible feat.
My name is Brian Batcheldor. I'm president of the British Powerlifting Congress, and I work as a science writer and researcher and strength coach. In my capacity as a strength coach, I've been fortunate enough to work with, coach and know the strongest individuals ever to walk the face of this planet. When it comes to the field of strength sports, I'd have to say that Andy Bolton of Leeds, England, stands head and shoulders above anybody else on my list.
if I could have done this, you know, 1,003 pounds, like it's like I could have been that much greater, you know. He's certainly up there with the stars, put it that way.
Let's go, folks! It's 1,200 freaking pounds! Let's get crazy up in here! Yeah! He's unfreaking stoppable! Yes! Yes! Hell yeah! That is what it is all about! You can't stop the WPO and our huge honor, heavy metal madness! It's just inevitable!
Holding the world records in the squat and deadlift, we can almost consider these lifts the exclusive domain of Andy Bolton. For educational purposes, it makes sense to pick up at this point in his training week. Here we catch up with Andy, training at Genesis Gym in London, 2 weeks after his victory at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. During that 2 weeks, he would have done no training at all. He wouldn't have been to the gym, he will be totally rested. So it makes sense that when he initially comes back to the gym, everything is approached a little more tentatively. His poundages will be significantly lower, he'll focus a lot more on form, and the build-up over the next few weeks will be a slow and gradual one that will focus much more on conditioning. This is known as a transmutative mesocycle. In fact, Andy's whole training year revolves around a series of mesocycles. Mesocycles, for our purposes, are a series of 6-week training programs with individual goals at the end of each program. This may, for example, be achieving a peak in a particular assistance exercise or variation of a lift. The aim of each of these mesocycles is to keep Andy always around competition form, so that at any one point he's only ever 6 weeks away from being ready for a competition. The exception to the rule is when Andy comes into a large competition, he may allow a couple of weeks more. So, for example, his last mesocycle coming into his 1,003 pound deadlift record was 8 weeks in length. Employing this kind of approach allows athletes of such extreme strength to remain injury-free for as long as possible. Watching Andy warming up on the squat, it soon becomes clear that when it comes to stretching, Andy's no Olga Korbut. This isn't to say that he doesn't employ stretching. Some basic static stretching will be done before he lifts, but stretching is used more extensively on his off days to assist in recovery. Our belief is that the use of excessive stretching prior to heavy lifting invites injury. We've found this both from experience, and empirical and scientific evidence substantiates our beliefs. So we keep stretching on the actual lifting day down to a bare minimum. You may not believe that watching a lifter of Andy's calibre squat with 70 kilos can teach you a lot. What you will notice is that the velocity of the bar varies little from start to finish, be it a 70 kilo warm-up set or a 400 kilo top end set. Our primary objective is to increase the rate of force development, rather than to merely focus on the development of maximum strength. A typical training week for Andy involves 3 training sessions, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, allowing plenty of time for full recovery. This may sound simple and appear to fly in the face of much of the traditional Eastern European multi-session training protocols we see increasingly becoming popular with powerlifters today. Whilst much of this Olympic lifting theory is adaptable to our sport, a large proportion of it still does not directly translate. Unlike weightlifting, powerlifting involves far too much muscle isolation to allow good recovery when extremely high workloads are being employed. The pattern for the training week is as follows. Monday, bench press and relevant assistance work, for example board presses, etc. This will be followed by heavy shoulder, tricep and some limited bicep work. Wednesday is squat and deadlift day, with both lifts being trained within the rep percentage parameters required by each particular mesocycle. Friday is reserved for upper back assistance work. The large muscles of the upper back come into play heavily in the completion of the deadlift. As Andy sets himself up for the squat, you may notice how wide his foot placement is. It's actually around 50 inches between his heels. Viewing the squat from this angle, we can see more clearly how prominent a role the large muscles of the hips play in coming out the bottom of the squat. During the transmutative mesocycle period, working on technique is quite high on the list. This doesn't mean just improving technique on existing lifts. It means ironing out faults in technique in areas where a lift may be suffering or could be improved. Andy puts on his wraps as early as his third set, another vital contributor to his squatting depth. Always remember, there are no prizes for the bravest powerlifter. Some feel putting wraps on at this early stage may rob the legs of vital muscle isolation. We're not looking for muscle isolation. It's important at this stage to separate a lift from an exercise. We're interested in the squat as a lift. We're interested in practicality. You may notice as the weight on his back goes up, his squatting depth improves. This is to gradually prepare him for the bigger weights to follow, and also to conserve energy in the hip muscles. With this weight on his back, it becomes even more obvious how his depth has improved. It's also a factor that the bigger guys require more weight to actually get them below parallel. But notice as he descends to the parallel position, how his lower leg remains vertical, his knee over his instep. This is the position you should be looking for. This is crucial. For it is only in this position that the large muscles of the hips, the most powerful muscles in the body, can efficiently drive you out of the hole. His pace during this workout will be rapid and intense. Rest between sets will generally be kept down to a minute to a minute and a half. This will increase gradually, as will the volume, that is to say the total amount of sets done. This gives Andy the kind of conditioning he needs for the subsequent mesocycles. Building strength is like building a pyramid. The wider the base, the higher the peak. The top end poundage utilised in the transmutative mesocycle that follows a competition will usually equate to around 55% of Andy's last maximum single.
Come on, Andy, let's go.
19, yeah?
As regards lifting apparel, Andy will start 7 weeks out from a competition with just briefs. His choice here is the Inter-Predator briefs. This is continued up until 4 weeks out, when he will also put on his squat suit. The choice here is the Inter-Leviathan suit, the same suit Andy set his 550.5 kilogram world record squat in. 3 weeks out sees him doing the same. The straps are never worn up during this period, they are only pulled up on the day of a meet. The same applies to his deadlift suit, which is also introduced during this week. His choice here is the Inza Max DL deadlift suit.
Right, ready? Yeah, right, let's go. Right, stop thinking about speed.
Come on.
I like the one on, but this is
Speed, it's a lightweight. So you're going to go down, explode to the left.
when it rolls heavy. Yeah, come on.
With some slight further encouragement from Dave Beattie, Andy approaches his top set for the day. Notice how Andy's form remains solid throughout the workout. This remains a conscious effort by Andy, underlying the importance of technical work during early mesocycles. Remember, practice only makes perfect when you practice perfectly.
Come on, faster, faster, come on. Work on it. Drive. Good, one more.
And again, come on.
Come on. Down, 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 down.
After his top set, Andy concludes his squat workout with a couple of back off sets with a much lighter weight. Here he works exclusively on explosiveness, pausing momentarily at the bottom before launching himself in the upright position.
Squat. Good. Good. Reach down this one more. Bang. Yeah. That's speed. doing less, not doing less.
Putting theory into practice, if we look at the following diagram, we can see the exact 8-week mesocycle that produced Andy's world record 1,213 pound squat, achieved at the 2007 Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic.
Let's go, folks! It's 1,200 freaking pounds! Let's get crazy up in here! Yeah! Unstoppable! Yes! Yes! Hell yeah! That is what it is all about! You can't stop the WPO and our huge iron heavy metal madness! It's just inevitable!
The rule books of most powerlifting organisations define the deadlift as being a lift where the lifter grasps the weight at floor level with both hands and stands erect until the lift is completed, i.e. when the knees and the shoulders are locked out. And that's the simplicity of the lift. It's a simple lift to determine the strength of the major muscle groups of the body, namely the back, legs and hips.
With the squat completed, Andy now turns his attention to the deadlift. With his legs thoroughly warmed up and having become accustomed to the huge weights, a few warm-up sets are required before he gets into the big poundages. As with the squat, you will notice that Andy's technique in the deadlift exemplifies explosiveness. Little energy is wasted on the negative or downward phase of the movement. Lifting in this form, the deadlift becomes almost reminiscent of one of the Olympic lifts. In fact, in early mesocycles, Andy has extensively employed the high pull as a preparatory exercise for the deadlift. If we compare the two lifts, the similarities between the high pull and Andy's particular brand of the deadlift become obvious, as do the potential benefits. Normally, after deadlifting, very heavy leg presses are performed. Here he will use strict form and a very full range of motion for 5 to 6 sets of 10 repetitions, often working up to as much as 600 kilograms. He then moves on to the leg curl for 5 sets of 10 and some seated calf work. Heavy abdominal work normally rounds off this particular workout, which comprises of heavy side bends, crunches and leg raises. Heavy side bends are an important factor in developing the very specific type of core stability needed to control big squats. When the lifter opens with a weight he may not have even taken in training, movements like this provide that essential stability. Andy is technically a perfect example of this. He frequently opens with around 70 kilos more than his heaviest training poundage, yet will still demonstrate total control and perfect form with the lift.
Okay, several years ago, I remember having a conversation with Bill Kazmaier, who was a 3-time winner of the World's Strongest Man contest, and was viewed by many legitimately as the strongest man in history. And I asked Bill why we never saw top-level Eastern Bloc Olympic weightlifters in the World's Strongest Man. Bill retorted to that by saying that Olympic lifters from the former Soviet Union were highly prized athletes. They were thoroughbreds. Although they weren't rewarded with money, they were rewarded with property and freedom to travel. These athletes would never be left wide open to injury through frivolous competition in what they viewed simply as junk sport. In Bill's own words, he put it as it would be like a Grand National winner running in a donkey derby. Well, today, Andy Bolton in the sport of powerlifting is our Grand National winner. He's played around with strongman competition, got busted up doing silly events, which have held him back in reaching his true potential in powerlifting, and now he's let that go, and he's riding the crest of a wave. If you want to measure speed, then you get a guy to run from A to B as fast as he can do it. You don't get him to do it blindfold, you don't get him to run it backwards, you don't get him to do it in a three-legged race, you just make it simple. If you want to measure a guy's strength, you get him to lift the heaviest thing possible from A to B. You don't give him an awkward object, you don't give him an object that requires a hell of a lot of technique, you don't make the object slippery, you make it straightforward. The deadlift is the simplest, purest measure of strength that we have. And for that reason alone, myself and many other strength statisticians and the relevant strength media have accredited his 1,003 pound deadlift as the greatest single feat in the history of strength athletics.
That's three. Go on, Dave.
When Andy Bolton competed in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic in the pro powerlifting division this year, his opening deadlift of 417.5 kilos or 920 pounds actually constituted his 18th straight 900 pound plus deadlift.
To lift explosively, you have to think explosively, like a sprinter coming out of the blocks. Reminiscent of a caged animal pacing up and down, Andy's extreme focus, mental rehearsal and anxiety levels are obvious as he eagerly anticipates the next weight. Unbelievably, Andy never pulls near maximum deadlifts off the floor. Even in the build-up to his monumental 1,003 pound world record, the heaviest deadlift pulled off the floor was only 340 kilograms for a triple. In fact, most of his peers still struggle to believe that this is his actual training methodology. In contrast to Andy's more conventional style, Andy's training partner Dave Beattie can be seen here employing the sumo technique. This version relies far more heavily on input from the quads and the hips and the hamstrings than the conventional method, which relies far more on lower back strength. To get a good idea of the power that Andy generates when he starts a pull, take a look at how the weight actually leaves the floor during the customary tug at the bar that most conventional deadlifters make while setting up for a pull. This is Andy's top set for the day, a single with 265 kilograms. As in most of his out-of-competition mesocycles, Andy concludes his deadlift training with partial deadlifts. His focus here is on the range, which starts around 2 to 3 inches below his knee. As stated, in earlier mesocycles, the high pull will often be employed. This serves as a useful warm-up exercise for the back and promotes the explosive nature that will become the general pattern for his entire workout. Along with power cleans, the high pull is utilised extensively in the training programs of most anaerobic athletes, for example, rugby players, sprinters, basketball players and martial artists. It provides tremendous benefits for those for whom the spontaneous generation of whole body power is crucial.
Props up. Go there. Right in your body. Nice one.
just 20 kilo more, it's 40 kilo more inside it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 80, 360, 385. 385.
Let's go. Fire up. Come on, fire up. Come on, go. Let's go, nice and fast.
Come on, Andy. Wind it up.
Done. Whew. Piece of cake. A little bit crazy with deadlifts.
Once again, the attached diagram is the precise protocol employed in his assault on the 1,000-pound barrier. After a day's rest, we join Andy and Dave at the Gallery Gym in Windsor, England, for their back assistance training day. It's worth remembering that an assistance exercise is only that if it truly assists. So in Andy's routine, no time is wasted with superfluous cosmetic exercises. Here we see Andy starting out with a hammer strength single arm row. Over the last few years, this exercise has become the cornerstone of his upper back training. During the heavier workouts in his periodized program, Through the use of 50 kilo plates, he will work up to an amazing 200 kilograms for 10 repetitions with each arm.
What do you say? How many you on it? Yeah, can you? Help me straps for this. Strong grip. Well strong. Well strongest grip there. You might need a strap. Dave, they're here. Straps are here. Strongest grip in the world. Don't need a strap. Sorry, strongest powerlifter in the world. Don't need a strap.
Generally, Andy's upper back workouts will comprise of 2 rowing movements and 1 pull-down movement. Whilst the exercises themselves may vary from one mesocycle to the next, the general pattern remains the same. Each movement is performed for 4 to 5 sets of 10 repetitions. Yeah, good. Whew.
Go on, Dave.
Come on. Good. Strong. Let's have a rows done.
Next he moves to low cable rows. Again, pay attention to his explosive performance while still maintaining good form. Training in this manner promotes a naturally higher recruitment of fast motor fibres, something that for many lifters seems hard to achieve voluntarily through conventional training methods. As we can see, his elbows are kept in close to the body and the weight is pulled in low, concluding with the lats squeezing in a backward and downward motion. Again, heavy emphasis on the lower lats.
Break, I'm not sure. Sure. How's she squat?
A bit less than you.
Right then.
I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Come on, Andy, come on. Come on, wind it up. Pull it up.
Oh, I felt tough.
Well, the machine
Felt
does
tough.
it. The machine does it.
His final lat movement here is V-grip lat pull downs. As you can see, the weight is pulled into the lower pec line, once again using ultra strict form.
Andy's immense strength isn't simply limited to his body. He has an incredible, an incredible sense of purpose. He's incredibly driven. His ability to tune in to the task being given to him. You don't make an Andy Bolton. 99% of it is genetics, and the rest is self-belief. And Andy is one of those few athletes that you don't have to talk into anything. You program him. You tell him what the feet is, you point him in the direction, and the job's done.
Squeeze it in. Squeeze it in.
Andy is extremely conscientious about his diet in much the same way as a competitive bodybuilder. He will consume around 2.5 grams per kilogram of protein, which for him equates to around 400 grams per day, 50% of this coming from the use of a blended protein supplement known as ProPeptide. A similar figure is reached with carbohydrates, primarily of low glycemic origin. Around 20% of his calorific intake comes from fats. He consumes a high amount of omega-3s. For some time now, Andy has been using between 4.5 and 6 grams a day of beta-alanine, which is scientifically proven to redress systemic acidosis, a major threat to recovery. This product has dramatically reduced muscle soreness between workouts and improved his recovery. It goes without saying that weighing 160 kilograms and placing his body under such immense stress could present Andy with some unique but undesirable systemic side effects. To prevent this, an eye is constantly kept on biomarkers such as lipid profiles and levels of reactive oxygen species and homocysteine, major threats to cardiovascular health. These are addressed through the use of such foods and supplements as pomegranate juice, standardized garlic extract, N-acetylcysteine, 5-methylfolate, and a comprehensive range of antioxidants. Common sense needs to be exercised here though, as some antioxidants demonstrate pro-oxidant properties at high dosages. The following diagram shows Andy's pre-contest daily diet, including full use of supplements. Shrugs conclude his upper back assistance work. Typically, these are done for 5 to 6 sets, and he may work up to as much as 380 kilograms for 10 ultra-strict repetitions. Notice how he leans slightly forward here to also engage the lower traps. There is no rotation of the shoulders, as is sometimes seen. This is both hazardous to the shoulders and provides little benefit.
Andy, as a strength athlete, is a little bit of a paradox, really. Simply because to best appreciate his achievements, it's better not to compare what he's done with the achievements of his predecessors and peers, but rather to compare them with what his predecessors and peers failed to do. Now, by that I mean, and any renowned strength coach out there will know what I mean. There's less than a handful of athletes in history that have probably a legitimate stake to the claim of being the strongest man in history. And not one of those athletes managed to break the 900-pound barrier. Sure, some of them came within a whisker of achieving that, but they never quite achieved it. Now, as I mentioned previously, there have been other powerlifters that have breached the 900-pound barrier marginally, but they in no way compare to the greatness and overall power of this elite group that I'm talking about, because their other lifts weren't up to par as well. Now, each of that elite group have been world powerlifting champions, world record holders, world strongest man competitors. If we look at the achievements of Andy Bolton today, we will see that his overall strength, when we look at the powerlifting total, his world records in powerlifting actually surpassed them. But the swan song to any of these athletes would have been to exit their career on a 900-pound deadlift, and they each tried that and failed.
It's almost inconceivable
that this guy comes along a generation or so later and out deadlifts them by, in many cases, in excess of 120 pounds. The 1,003 pounds that he deadlifted in November last year is an incredible lift. It's an incalculable achievement. It's simply insane. In all of the media hype surrounding Andy's historical crashing of the 1,000 pound barrier in the deadlift, he was asked on numerous occasions what his future goals would be. Now, Andy set himself a series of objectives which he would have liked to have achieved realistically within a 3-year window of opportunity. Those goals included breaking the world record total in powerlifting, holding the world record squat, winning the highly prized Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic professional powerlifting title, and breaking the 3,000 pound barrier on the total. In March 2007, he competed in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, and he's already achieved 3 out of 4 of those objectives. That's what makes it so exciting to watch him lift. The guy knows no limits. He sets himself rough goals, but in truth, he doesn't actually know what he can do. And any of us that work with him are in the same position. He just improves in leaps and bounds from competition to competition.
More weight on? Yep. Okay, 300. Few kilos, yeah?
In appreciating Andy's achievements, I think it's important to realise the amount of factors that need to come together to make his achievements possible. You know, no man's an island, and Andy's the same. You know, obviously you don't create an Andy Bolton, they're born. But the icing on the cake, you know, that last bit of guidance, that last bit of financial support, that bit of support from the family, those things are crucial. You know, he has the support, the very close support of a loving wife, the technological support of API, the nutritional support of CNP Professional, you know, and of course his training partners, his head training partner, Dave Beattie. You know, people like Dave work very closely with Andy in the gym. They know exactly, you know, in the minutes leading up to that crucial lift, how to get into his head, what he needs to hear, how to shut all negative influences out, and how to shield him from all negative influences. So, you know, when we talk about Andy Bolton, we talk about Team Bolton. You know, that's the way it has to be to reach the top.